this is Simeon, and welcome. We're back with another harpsichord. And this time, it's the German Harpsichord 1782 from Real Samples. This is a rare original instrument built by Carl August Grabner and is currently on display in the German National Museum in Nuremberg, where Real Samples also recorded the instrument. You know, just when you think you've heard all the harpsichords, one comes along and it's just like, wow, this one sounds really amazing. So we're going to take a look at this beautiful instrument. I learned something each time that I do one of these videos and experience these instruments. I find out so many different things that inspire me, and there is no surprise here that I found out something really incredible. Now I'm playing the tutti stop. Now tutti means everything. You know, all the stops are pulled out. And this particular harpsichord, it has two 8-foot stops, one for the upper, one for the lower. And it has a 4-foot stop and what's called a Lautenzug stop or a lute stop. So you've got, let's see, 2, 3, you've got 4 different stops that you can pull out. And you know, you can pull them all out or one, and this is the thing. We're gonna discover this. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna open this up in inside of Kontakt. You do need the full version of Kontakt for this, and it loads as a multi because you have 2 layers. You see all the stops here. Let me show you. Yeah, you see all the stops over there. You've got the 2x8. You've got the upper and lower, and you've got the 4-foot stop, you've got the lute stop, you've got all of those separate, and then you have some different combinations. So you'd load these in the multi, and I have these in the quick load here. That's how I'm going to access those because it makes it so much easier to do. I'm going to pull up the lower 8-foot stop, and we'll just walk through these real quick. This is at 440, but they also include the 412, the Velati tuning, and we'll touch on that a little bit. And the thing that I'm really resisting doing, I've got my I've got my leg over here wanting to touch that sustain pedal, but as we all know, harpsichords do not have sustain pedals, and so I'm just got my feet kind of tucked back. Boy, do you hear the richness in this. You're talking about a harpsichord made out of spruce, beech, and with poplar veneer. And the colors on this particular harpsichord are just stunning. And it's just so beautiful. Listen to how rich this is. And that's the lower 8-foot stop. Especially down here, you can really hear. And this is where the range stops. It stops here and it goes to here. So this is your range. Mozart, I'm not, but I appreciate the beauty of these instruments, and my goodness, to hear them played, it would have been an incredible experience to hear these played by the great masters, and we can learn so much from them. So that's the lower 8-foot stop, and let's just see. Let's load the upper, because each one of these has different characters to them, and I'm going to get in a different key with this one. Now, not having a sustain pedal makes you think a little bit differently. So you hold. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit, see, and the note rings out. But see, without the sustain pedal, you have to physically hold it. And it challenges you to express the instrument in a different way. Okay, so let's load the A 4-foot stop, which is a higher register. I'm in A flat today, or let's get into another key. Let's get into D. Now you notice I'm playing an octave, so because the 4-foot stop, Beethoven said, if you're going to play a wrong note, make it a loud note. Make it a loud one. That's at least my paraphrase. And by itself, it sounds, real thin, but it's bright. It adds a brightness on top of things. And we're gonna hear how that makes a difference. Now let's look at the Lautenzug stop, or the lute stop. It's kind of like more of a muted type of sound. You hear that? It's kind of dampened a little. And I always have to mention, the harpsichord does not have what we would consider dynamic layers like the pianoforte. The pianoforte, or our modern day piano, it has the capacity to generate soft notes and loud notes, and that's where we derive the name. Piano being soft and forte being loud. But the harpsichord, every time you hit it, it's going to be the same dynamic layer. It's going to be the same dynamic. And so what Real Samples has done, they've given us eight different different samples for each of the stops. 8 samples with the key pressed down. So every time you press the key, you're going to trigger at random 8 different stops, 8 different samples of each stop. And if you look real close, every once in a while, you'll see the bottom instrument kind of register something. And that is the release samples. So when you release the key, it resets the plectrum. And so they sampled that 4 times. And so what I'll do is, I like doing this. I like just turning the release samples up some. But you hear how that Lautenzug stop, it's another tone color. It's, where the 4-foot stop was bright, the Lautenzug stop is a little darker, a little more rich, I guess, and it's dampened just a little bit. But what I'll do, I'm going to just mute the upper layer. So we'll just listen to the release samples on this Lautenzug stop, and we might listen. Okay, yeah, okay, you hear it. I'm going to mute that layer. And you can hear each time there's 4 release samples that you trigger at random. And so when you have the 8 triggering at random and the 4 release, then it just adds that realism that what I think sets these particular harpsichord instruments apart. Okay, and what we can do too, they've given us some combination stops. So we've got the 2x8, which is the upper and lower stop combined. So they sampled the individual stops, and then they sampled these combinations together. Wow. Those of you who have been on the channel before, when I just put my hands on the keys, sometimes they have a mind of their own and they just kind of play what they want to play. And this is kind of a cool theme. Yeah, see, I'm getting a little too carried away. Okay, so that's the 2x8. That's the two 8-foot stops combined. So we can use the 2D stop to have everything together. So this adds the Lautenzug stop and the 4-foot stop on top. Yeah. And you hear how that 4-foot stop adds that little top end. Now we can always take the individual stops and just kind of layer them together, but sampling them together, with all the stops pulled out and giving us that extra layer, really gives us a lot of flexibility. Okay, one thing I like to do, I love to try running these these classical historical instruments through effects. But before I do that, let me tell you what my discovery was. Because since the harpsichord does not have the dynamic layers of a pianoforte, um, they use the stops. They use the stops to kind of help give control over the dynamic layer. So let's say you start with that lower 8-foot stop. That's like a soft dynamic layer. And then you kind of add on the 2x8, the upper and lower, and it just adds a little, it steps up the dynamic a little bit. It's like having a choir or an ensemble that you start with a soloist and then you add more vocalists. And so the more vocalists that you add, the greater the dynamic is. And so with the harpsichord, you've got an upper stop, a lower stop, that Lautenzug stop, and the 4-foot stop. And those are like different members of the choir. Yeah. So the more of these articulations and the voicings that you have, the stops that you have, the dynamics. And so I can imagine the player physically going and pushing and pulling out those stops depending on the type of dynamic layer that they want to achieve. And so speaking of effects, so I'm going to load this 4-foot stop and I'm going to show you a really cool plugin. It's called Beam. I'm going to open Beam up. And Beam is like a granular type of engine. I just pulled this up on the default and it is just like, it just takes it to another level. And the reason why I like doing this is because having these really nice samples and recorded in the way that Real Samples does it, it allows you to take them further into these effects like this. So listen to this. This is the 4-foot stop, just running through the default Beam preset. Now I saved some favorites here, and I'm going to just click on those. And I'm just going to go through some of these with the 4-foot stop still. We're still looking at that 4-foot stop. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I'm going to bypass it. Let's see, we can bypass it. There's a way that we can, yeah. Because the samples are so clean. That makes it so you can push it through any types of effects, and it just kind of just takes it to another level. It's just amazing. Okay, so now let's go to these let's go to the Lautenzug stop. It's a little deeper, and now let's see. Let's go to this fifth glimmer. I think that's kind of a neat. So this is taking it through granular effects and filters and reverbs. So it's kind of a complex. Let's turn it up a little bit. And it's kind of reversing things. With that fifth. That's wild. It just triggers your imagination. It just feeds on your imagination. Let's go to felt piano fills. Yeah, these are just so wild and creative. It just really challenges your imagination. To take something from 1782 and put it into something from 2024 and come out with something so amazing. That's wild. Okay, let's go ahead and pull out all the stops. Oh, okay. So before I do that, we'll check this out. I want you to hear. I always like showing you the tunings, and we've been listening to the harpsichord in 440. So let's go ahead and just do the 2x8 in the original 412 hertz tuning, and this is like the original. Make sure. Okay, yeah, the 2x8. Okay, the 2x8. Yeah. Now let me put the 440 2x8 in there. Yeah. Now let me drop the 412. It's like it's really fascinating to hear this in a different tuning. So let's drop this. Let's just drop this in glittery space. Let's try that one, and let's. It just gives you a different, totally different feeling. this is absolutely like a playground of stuff that you can do. Okay, I'm going to load the 440, get us back into a little familiar territory, and let's just load up the all stops, the 2D stops. And there is a fun one to go. Yeah, the wah chopper. We're listening to the same harpsichord. That's wild. Okay, let's just try one more. Fountain of Optimism. And this is running it through all kinds of processes, but it gives us such a beautiful, beautiful sound. Isn't that cool? Okay, we'll turn beam off a little bit. But what a powerful harpsichord, and a beautiful one at that. And I want to thank Real Samples for giving me the opportunity to be what you might call a historical instrument time traveler. I mean, that's what I feel like. My time machine is not a DeLorean, it's a harpsichord. So take care, and most of all, stay joyful. This is Simeon Ambergy, and I look forward to seeing you again on our next joyful journey together.